Okay, I'm live. And I'm going to share this with several people. Oh. Jordan Peterson's been showing a few things. Let's see. Yeah, I'm live, all right. Let's see, just get the video up on my phone. Yeah, there's that mug. There's that recently shaven mug of a face. I must stash you a question, but I must shave it for later, many would say. Right. So, I'm just going to share this around, and if anyone wants to hop on in, go hop on by, say hello to this fine Scottish weirdo. You know? You know? Sorry, it's something funny, so. Please feel free to hop in and talk to me. That's the message I'm going to send out to people when I know that something's working. If it ain't broke, don't beat it. No, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's how it goes. All right, let's turn this around. Hopefully, someone will come around, and then we'll all be ready when the man comes around. Hear the voices, hear the pipers. 100 million angels singing. Multitudes are marching to the big cuddled ground. Voices calling, voices crying. Some are born and some are dying. It's Alpha and Omega's kingdom come. Hey! Double A! Batteries! Hello! Evening business partner. Yes, yes. So Double A has been a very kind friend. I've teased this on another previous live stream already. I am the Barleyman Butterbear to your Mr. Undale. I have no idea what that's meant to be a reference to, but okay, sure, I'll go with it. Basically, might as well, because Double A is the first to be here. Underhill. Lord of the Rings reference, right? Underhill. I am he who walks unseen. I am Balrider.
Barrel. Now that is interesting. And what of your dwarf friends? Where are they hiding?
Dwarves. No, you got that wrong.
Oh, I don't think so. Balrider. They sent you here to do their dirty work while they skulk about with their black arrows. Did you not think that I would not see this day coming? When a pack of scanty dwarves will come crawling back to the mountain?
And then a pill later. Barleyman is the owner of the Prancing Pony. Anyway, it's not 1972 anymore. Thank you. It's not 1972 anymore. That's true. I think someone else is joining us. I'm just gonna continue to share this around because I want to talk about movies. And I'm just gonna send a message. Okay. Dookie. Right. I'm just sending something to a friend, which I'm going to talk about behind the scenes. Right. Oh yeah, I've got to keep showing this link to other people. Let's see. I sent it there. Let's see who else is willing to hop on in. All right, someone's been liking this stuff. Right. Okay. Yeah, friends gotten in touch with me saying poor Henry Cavill was unable to live that one time. We were talking about fake CGI mustache earlier. I'll bet you James Gunn's new DC reboot will fall apart. Most likely. Right. So I'm doing multiple conversations at once as I'm doing the live stream. Because I thought I just wanted to talk to you guys again. So this is probably going to be inconvenient for a lot of people. Anyway. Okay, let's see if we can get more people to hop on in. That's probably not going to work. Worth a shot. All right. Oh, maybe this will work. Worth a shot. Oh yeah, get more friends involved. Okay, assuming the friends are actually going to pick it up. Okay. Wonderful. Look at me. I should have prepared in advance. I'm not even talking about the movies. I'm just texting friends. Right. The thing is, I'm just trying to spread this around to as many groups of people as possible, so that there's going to increase the likelihood of people coming in to see this thing. Because I wanted to texting young scribbles, eh? Her and several other friends. Okay, so just so people can be informed, Double A and I've been close friends with someone named Malika Ganje, who's named herself Malika Wrights. She's opened up about her past due to her confessing like she was stubborn at her young age, so she was too stubborn to like was it read books or something like that, and then in light of this, Double A's given her a joke name to her younger self, Malika Scribbles. I thought that was really funny, so I thought we'd go with that. Anyway, let's see who else. Friends gotten back in touch saying, yeah, I no longer trust Warner Brothers to do any of these beloved characters justice. Same with Disney. Yeah, understandable, buddy. Understandable. They're just not what they used to be. True. They are not what they used to be. There seems to be hope for Paramount. Right. Okie dokie. I shall do that later. Thank you. This is the stupidest thing ever, doing this during the live stream. All right. So you're uploading the banner, 800 subscribers. Yeah. I might as well promote it. Yeah. So me and Double A are talking behind the scenes. So I guess we should announce, and this was made public during a previous live stream. Me and Double A have been working on a new banner to put on this specific YouTube channel. This isn't the only YouTube channel that Double A has worked on. He's also worked on the YouTube banner for Malika Ganje's YouTube channel, Malika Wrights, and it was quite impressive. Double A seems to be a really talented designer on Photoshop. So if you want to contact him, he's your man. So I was just getting that right. I'm secretly the guy that runs everything, the scripts, making video ideas, editing. Scott just reads my scripts. Not yet, buddy. Not yet. In your dreams. In your dreams. One can dream. But in dreams. But in dreams. Got a phone. My sister can't join. She's got a phone call. We'll join. Oh, she'll join later. Yay! Okay, right. Scott is Truman, and I'm the other guy watching him. You know, I actually do look a bit like Jim Carrey, right? Smokey. P-A-R-T. Why? Because I got it. You know, the guy who's watching Truman looks a bit like Viggo Mortensen, like Aragorn? Is it because he's played by Viggo Mortensen by any chance? Double A's probably going to say yes, and I'm going to go, no! Can you do the Ace Ventura sarcastic, like, I haven't seen Ace Ventura, but I've seen parts of it. Alrighty then! No, wait, no, that was pathetic. Hold on, let's try that again. Alrighty then! This is going to be like a voice impressions thing as well. Alright, so there's going to be more family coming in later. So hopefully that's the thing. Who else can I send this to? Copy that. It's becoming a claw! Nothing can stop the claw! Man, I miss having Malika's streams to look forward to every Friday. hey, dude. Malika's live streams weren't that frequent, let's be honest. She still has like a few live streams. Like, she's only made a few so far. She's a busy woman, you know? Busy woman, working down. What am I talking about? This is going to be a sing-along stream as well. This guy could be fun to invite. Let's see if he's available. Philip Chandler. Yeah, let's see if we can invite him also. Let's see if we can invite him. Oh, might as well just make... You know what I need to do? I just need to do this whole story thing. Let's see if I can... You know what? Sod it. I'm going to get started with the whole talk of movies. Where did I put the ticket? Here it is. Let's check one last time. I really want someone from Evan Prince's abode to come talk to me, especially Jarf. Man, that's a good. He's away. No. Let's see if we can at least get some people in. Anyway, La La Land is a great summertime movie. Yeah, I've only seen like the first few minutes of La La Land. Man, I should not have scrumpled up this ticket. I want to talk about Mission Impossible 7 first of all, because I still have the ticket for seeing Mission Impossible 7, and something I really want to talk about because I actually find this genuinely funny is that, hey, it's Ely, she's here! Will you be going to see the film on the decade on Friday? It's going to be the most cultural significant film for sure. What film would that be, Ely? Do tell. Come on, speak up. Come on, talk to me. What is it? What's it going to be? It's going to be Barbie, isn't it? It's going to be Barbie. It's definitely going to be Barbie. She's going to die. I knew it! Called it! I freaking called it. You know, so I've been hearing from friends. They literally dressed up as Barbie to go see the Barbie film. I might as well get my Ken get up. I'm so excited, says my sister. Wow, someone other than me in this stream. Great Scott! It's going to be revolutionary. Double A, this is my sister, Ely Rowan. Both her surnames are McCritchie, but she's not McCritchie because she got married. Ely Rowan, yeah. So feel free to talk to each other on the live stream. So wanted to start up. He has a great Scott. I want to talk about this ticket I got. But today I went to see Mission Impossible 7. So your last name is Rowan too? Me? No, my last name is McCritchie. Ely's middle name is Rowan after the middle name. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. So the funny thing about this ticket for Mission Impossible 7 is that it literally says, I kid you not, MI7. Get it? MI7? You gotta love that. It's a film all about, spies and, agents and impossible missions. And it's literally called MI7. Yeah, check it out, Jarf. Like, MI7. Check it out. It is good, but I go to the View Cinema myself, Jar. Although I have been to the Glasgow Cinema, which is like multiple stories worth of cinemas. Odeon is good, but too expensive. I'll need to find Odeon sometime. Hello, Jar. Welcome back, Jar from the Evan Prince server. What was I even talking about? Three's a crowd. I think someone else might be joining in. So I went to see Mission Impossible 7, and boy, was it a thrill. What a thrill. When darkness and something else. I might play Metal Gear Solid when it comes out on like the PlayStation 4. MI7 is apparently really good. Yeah, we love working for MI7, don't we, Jarf? Fun fact. I've only seen like the first Mission Impossible film. I've not taken the chance to see like the TV show or any other of the Mission Impossible movies.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer, Jarf? Every night, I could feel my leg and my arm, even my fingers. The body I've lost, the comrades I've lost, won't stop hurting. You feel it too, don't you? I'm gonna make them give back our past.
Can you do a whole live stream of Elizabeth Swan? Maybe later, Double A. Later, maybe another time. Oh, the hate! Anyway, I've had it with Reds and Pirates. Anyway, I haven't seen any of the other Mission Impossible films apart from the first one. But judging by the way this film was paced, it didn't really seem like I needed to know much about the previous films up until this point, which is quite good. I like films that can have its own continuity, but at the same time still stand out on its own. I like stories like that. I need to go and prep some rocket science. See you around. Thank you, Vajar. Thank you for visiting. God bless you, sir. Or me. So, Mission Impossible 7, I think it's got quite the thrilling story that could really be quite relevant nowadays, especially with these controversies coming out. No, I'm not ready, Brooks. I tell you what, I am not ready yet. Someone else is getting in contact with me. It's got quite the story in regards to AI and other things like that. Green light is on. Oh, for Pete's sakes, I'm having to juggle multiple things at once. Hold on. Let's see if I can get my friend Brooks to come on in here. Okay. I am not ready for a call, but feel free to hop in. Hey, are you in Australia or something? How is it still daylight? Well, I mean, it can be sunny. I'm assuming it must be quite cloudy where you are, Double A. Can I get? Oh, okay. Getting a Skype call. I'm getting a Skype call from a friend. Dude, stop. Time out. I hate when he does this. I'm trying to do a stream. I said I'd meet him in 2 hours, and he's doing a call right now. I don't know if you guys can actually hear it, but I'm just hearing ding, 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 just interrupting the thing, and it's so embarrassing when this happens. Anyway, I'm just going to wait until it stops, and then I'll carry on talking about... Hey there, Callum. Hey, Philip. How are you? Yay. The Canadian artist is here, just in time for me to talk about Mission Impossible 7. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to listen to me talk about Mission Impossible 7. So the story is that Tom Cruise, fresh out of his success with Top Gun Maverick, has been, doing spy stuff, and his latest mission, didn't know what you meant by hop it. I'm sorry, I'm just receiving a message from another friend. That's okay, I forgive him. Mission Impossible 7 as Tom Cruise, fresh off the success of Top Gun Maverick. And his mission is to stop this AI from taking over everything. This AI is basically so wide branching and so risky that it could threaten like everybody. Basically, this AI is basically so advanced. Like whoever takes control of it was Tom Hanks' performance good. Yeah, I loved his rad skateboarding skills. Have you seen the stunt he did where he skateboarded right off a mountain cliff of a skateboard? Double A, I believe he's from Scotland. Yeah, true. I was trying to. I was trying to show earlier. I don't know if it's quite clear enough. Let's see. No, not that curtain. The other curtain. No. The camera's not good enough. But basically, the skies are kind of sort of a tingy blue. The clouds are kind of like this mild, like mildly purplish peachish color, like a very watered down kind of purplish color. That kind of time of the day in the summer. Anyway, I'm supposed to see Emma's next weekend with a friend of mine. All right, I won't spoil too much, but it's a brilliant film. Trust me, Philip. So Tom Cruise has to, Ethan Hunt, as he's called in the film, has to go against all odds with a few comrades to stop this AI before it takes over everything. And apparently this AI is very good at manipulating people for power. I've heard good things about it. Oh, it's really good, but believe me on that. This AI has persuaded a few people to get to power, and there's these key things. If you combine them together, they form the one key, which is the one thing that can control this AI to control the way it interferes with the technology from around the world, interfering with satellites, internet, and other things like that. Basically, it's set up so that if you control this AI, you can control the world, but this AI is afraid of someone getting in the way. So Ethan Hunt's mission is to get the keys, stop the AI, and there's multiple factions trying to stop this, trying to control the AI to some extent, or something like that. And it's really thrilling stuff. There's some brilliant chase sequences in there. It really helps. I mean, Tom Cruise has been having a tremendous career as of late. He's been, he had a sensational, phenomenal success with Top Gun Maverick. That was the kind of film not many people expected to be as good as it was, but it was. It absolutely exceeded expectations. Like, Maverick was like so good. People just went back to the cinema just to see it, like again, and it played all the way until Christmas time, which is amazing. Right. All right, just texting other friend. Thank you, Jeff. And of course, with it being a Tom Cruise film, the highlights are naturally the stunts. I'll call you back. Right. I think we're on the cusp of the next cinema golden age. Yeah, Double A. We really are. Because this is something I wanted to talk about in this live stream. Like, a lot of mainstream Hollywood has fallen for this this big agenda that's really putting a sour taste in people's mouths, which was actually part of the reason why Top Gun Maverick was so successful, and which is why there are a lot of people who prefer to see films like Top Gun, like Mission Impossible 7. I've heard people say Mission Impossible 7 is the better alternative to Indiana Jones 5. And it's such a shame for me to say that, because I love the first and third Indiana Jones movies. They're that good. But the fifth Indiana Jones film sucks. Don't forget Barbie. Don't forget Barbie. Yeah, everyone's talking about Barbie. Due to people talking about Barbie, I might as well make a film about Barbie. But you know what? There have been several films about Barbie already. This just happens to be the first ever live action Barbie movie, unless you count that ever so famous Barbie girl music video by Aqua. Ryan Gosling is the finest actor of our generation. Oh, yes, the finest mug of our generation. Yes. All right, let's get this over with.
I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. Life in plastic, it's fantastic. You can brush my hair or dress me everywhere.
You must get caught up on the Barbie lore. Barbie lore? What Barbie lore? I didn't know there was a lore for Barbie. Like, what's the lore for Barbie? There's this fashion girl named Barbie, and he hooks up with a guy named Ken. That's pretty much it to my knowledge. I mean, I don't think that's going to be anywhere near as deep as Bionicle in regards to toy brand lore. My friend Brooks was introducing me to Bionicle lore just due to this recent TikTok phenomenon where people in their like subconscious were having these projected dreams from their childhoods. And Bionicle kept returning, and Brooks showed me a video of this the other day about how immense the lore of Bionicle was, and there was like dictionaries needed to explain that. I was like, this is a bit much for me to keep up with. He was saying Barbie Rapunzel, Barbie Swan Princess. Yes, those films exist too, and let's not forget the Toy Story franchise, particularly Toy Story 2 and Toy Story 3. Ken made his debut. Ken made his appearance in Toy Story 3. Who's ready for the Dream Tour? Let's hope nobody clips that.
Let's hope people do not clip something embarrassing from you, my friend.
I remember there was an advert for Barbie Twin Princess, like a Barbie version of The Prince and the Pauper. There was a song like "I'm just like you, you're just like me," and stuff like that. The things you remember. So this is going to be a recent adaptation of Barbie, which happens to be live action. We'll see where it goes. Too late. He's clipped it already. Oh, you rascal. I will hunt you down. I will hunt you down and I will spy on you. Yeah, might as well go see Barbie out of pure pressure at this point. I don't even know what it's about. It's got like Margot Robbie, the lass who played. I hate movie theaters. Even your own home. Anyway, people have been insisted on seeing Mission Impossible 7 and Top Gun Maverick and other films like that, because there seems to be only a handful of filmmakers, if I could fit them on the palm of my hand, only a handful of filmmakers these days who actually care about genuinely telling a good story. Barbie and Oppenheimer double feature. Yeah, that's a recent phenomenon I've been noticing, Philip. There seems to be this trend of
which movie will do better, Barbie or Oppenheimer? On the one hand, the famous toy brand that has lasted for years. On the other, a deep story about a cautionary tale of what happens when people try to play God. You decide which film dominates the box office.
Anyway, what are your thoughts on Death Proof? What's Death Proof? I don't know what that is. Could you elaborate on what Death Proof is, please? Double A. I don't know what that. Oh wait, is that a movie, or is that something else? I don't know what that is. If it's an upcoming film, I suppose with Mission Impossible 7, I've noticed there's a few other upcoming films that seem to be getting my attention. Like in the cinema, there was these adverts. There was one in particular. Is that the Grindhouse style flick? I don't think I've heard of it. I guess I should investigate. What is it all about, actually? Death Proof. Let's see if I can find it. Death Proof. Right. Death Proof. There's only one way to be death proof in a way, but that's it. Death Proof. Let's see. Aha. Grindhouse Death Proof. A group of women are stalked by a scarred stuntsman who uses his death-proof cars for his deadly plans. Action and adventure 2007 movie. I have never heard of this movie. I have never, ever, ever heard of this movie at all. I'm drawing a blank on his name. Educate us, Double A. I've never heard of this film before. That's the one great stunt work. Oh, okay. It's another film with great stunt work. Okay. I suppose in regards to stunt work. It's funny. A friend of mine had been texting me, like, making a joke about how dedicated Tom Cruise is to his stunt work. He said to me, "Why do I get the feeling that Tom Cruise's death will be caught on film?" And then I commented, "Whoa, what a great stunt, man! Can we roll that again?" And then he said, "It's fine. We'll resurrect him and make an uncanny CG monstrosity." I walked out of the theater after 15 minutes watching Amazing Spider-Man 2. All right. Ooh. I think you mentioned that last time. I gotta go. Have fun. Bye, Ely. Bye, sister. I'll probably see the Barbie film at some point. Eventually, I guess. Anyway, Spider-Man 2. Tarantino movie with Kurt Russell. All right, Tarantino movie. Of course, it's Tarantino. A lot of people love that Tarantino. Tarantino's an interesting filmmaker. Not every single film he's made has been quite appealing. Like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is kind of a boring one for me, but my friend Brooks found that deeply fascinating because of the subtext that I didn't notice about like the state of Hollywood at that time. As a sort of meta-modernist commentary, that's what he was fascinated by. But still, even knowing that subtext, the film kind of bored me. And I also thought, I've said to Double A before, I think Pulp Fiction is rather overrated. But Double A said, well, it's kind of made like that on purpose to reflect the Pulp Fiction at the time, which is why a lot of people enjoyed it. There is one Tarantino film that I've seen thus far that I actually really enjoyed. The one called Inglourious Bastards. This is an alternative fictional history take. And I've said before, like, Tarantino's films were kind of boring. But with Inglourious Bastards, there's always this constant tension. And I think Tarantino is at his best whenever there's tension, like something at stake that can add to the context of each of the conversations, because then you're on the edge of your seat in this conversation. You just think any moment, anything could go wrong. Like it's kind of situation where they're on like a razor's knife or stuff like that. It's really intense stuff. I actually enjoyed Once Upon a Time, even though the ending was quite violent. Yeah, pretty gruesome stuff. Yeah, Tarantino is also a very, very, very bloodlusting director, for better or for worse. Anyway, with I'm really enjoying the Tom Cruise's films. That is a man dedicated to his stunts. Truly dedicated to his stunts. You got to appreciate him for it. What else is there to say? I saw an advert for a sci-fi film. It was called The Creator. It seems to be another film talking about AI. Fairly interesting subtext going on. I think it's sort of a big epic action war, but I think there's some philosophical context that can go in there, which I would find quite interesting. All right, Double A, make a case. I'm open to hear your interpretation. Just so you know, I'm not the only person who considers Pulp Fiction overrated. The guy who calls himself like Angry Video Game Nerd also considers that film overrated. Oh yeah, I just saw the trailer for it this morning. Yeah, it's an interesting concept, isn't it? It's kind of like Blade Runner almost in a way. I'm curious about it. Yeah, I'm curious about it as well. I mean, it is kind of eerily scary that you see all these news and all these rumors about how quickly AI is developing, and it's kind of fascinating how our entertainment has cost like time and time and time again, like as far back as like 2001: A Space Odyssey, has cautioned us about the potential dangers of artificial intelligence. Now it's here. What are we going to do about it? You have films like Mission Impossible and this film still cautioning us about like the dangers of what AI could bring. And this harkens back to what Jeff Goldblum said in Jurassic Park. I think I really respect Jurassic Park more as a film because not only did it have amazing CGI and practical effects, something that Tom Cruise also stands by, but there was a really great commentary on the part of Jeff Goldblum himself about the scientist's works. The way he said, yeah, but just because you could doesn't necessarily mean that you should. Life finds a way. Ha 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 ha. The dinosaurs are going to see Tom Cruise. He's gonna ride atop the mountain. He leaps off, and he has Nicholas Angel accompanying him. Ha 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 ha. Anyway, so yeah, what he said during that scene, like it still holds true. Like just because you could do it, does that really mean you should? And I was talking about how you have found this gimmick standing on the shoulders of giants. You slapped it on a lunchbox, and now you're selling it. That could also describe the other Jurassic Park sequels, but that's another story for another time. Nicholas Angel from Hot Fuzz. Yes, Nicholas Angel from Hot Fuzz is in Mission Impossible 7. What else is there to talk about? This Friday coming, I'm going to see Oppenheimer. Talking about like the whole Barbie and Oppenheimer thing. I've managed to arrange to get the opportunity to see Oppenheimer with some friends, and I think, I mean, it's debatable as to what's going to be the film to see of the summer. Like a lot of people are probably going to say, Barbie, it's Barbie. I mean, if you were like talking about like the funny kind of film of the summer, I guess Barbie could work. But I guess in regards to the film of the summer, if I were to try to nail it down, I suppose it could either be, it's either Barbie, Mission Impossible 7, or it's going to be Oppenheimer. And I think for cultural relevance, for the reasons of cultural relevance, I'm hoping to see Oppenheimer this weekend. I want to see it on IMAX though. Oh yeah. The film to see will be Air Bud 27. All right. IMAX. A lot of people have been recommending watch Oppenheimer on IMAX. They're saying it's an experience. So alongside Tom Cruise, Christopher Nolan seems to be one of the very few filmmakers in Hollywood who actually cares about telling a good story. Like, I can't think of Christopher Nolan is honestly one of my favorite film directors. Like, yeah, he's had some lesser successes with like Tenet in regards to how it works, but still, I would never in my life call any of Nolan's films awful. Like, he's made a few like mistakes in regards to filmmakers, but hey, I can forgive him for that kind of thing because he's just made so many good movies. Like, just the way his mind works. He's Christopher Nolan. I'd probably describe him as like the Hideo Kojima of filmmaking. Tenet fried my brain. yeah. Christopher Nolan, like Tom Cruise, he really cares about practical effects and using CGI as sparingly as possible. There's even what I think is a joke that they made that Nolan is so dedicated to practical effects, he blew up 4 nuclear bombs for the sake of retakes. And what makes it kind of funny is that this could actually be true. The Prestige is such a clever movie. Yeah, The Prestige. Back when I made like my favorite movies of all time, I've mentioned The Prestige and The Dark Knight as one of the two of them. Okay. Yeah, I love The Prestige, man. It's like Nolan is like the Hideo Kojima of filmmaking. He's able to come up with these very intriguing thriller kind of plots, and then he's able to, I guess, like getting a divine vision or something. He's able to take parts of the story and put them in a non-linear order and place them like a puzzle for the audience to solve. So by the time you get to the end, all the pieces come together, and that gives you a whole revelation. So you have to go back and watch the film again. And this kind of rewatchability makes Nolan a genius, an utter genius in what he's capable of doing. I notice you're gaining subscribers pretty good. Yeah, I am getting subscribers, and it makes me happy. Yeah. Don't worry, Double A. That banner we're working on, we'll get arrangements sorted, and hopefully I'll get it up by the time we reach 800 subscribers. My word. The Prestige. I love The Prestige. It's a really intriguing thriller and a cautionary tale about how far people can go in the name of art. Their craft. A similar film has delved into that kind of topic called The Chef. I really enjoyed The Chef with Ray Fiennes. I asked some genuine, intriguing questions about what it really means to create art. That's a really interesting thing. I'm the kind of person who likes entertaining movies that can make you intellectually think. Now, one of the flaws with Nolan, as our good friend Philip has pointed out, is that sometimes Nolan can be a bit too clever when it comes to making his movies. Like Tenet, for example. Like Tenet was a really fun movie. Like Nolan likes to play around with these sci-fi gimmicks, like with the dreamscapes of Inception. With Tenet, he plays around with this science fiction mechanic where people go into this sort of time travel machine where they come out the other side and everything they see is reversing in time. So, like, for example, if you fire a bullet, but if you're going in reverse time, the bullet goes back in the gun. If you're driving, you'll notice everyone's driving backwards, but you're driving forwards. So they're trying to stop someone from trying to take over the world with this technology. But then the plot gets rather convoluted with all these different people and all these different things. And then it gets so confusing. Like, there's literally in the ending, the protagonist, yes, he's literally called protagonist, by the way. he like shoots somebody, probably for some reason, to cause the saving of the world. It's quite confusing. I can't think about it too much. This live stream is probably going to nuclear explode from like too much analysis of Tenet. But anyway, back to Oppenheimer. It's clear that it seems Nolan's caught his eye on making. He seems to have a passion for making historical documentaries. No, not documentaries. Historical films, like films set during historical periods. We've seen this in Dunkirk. Like, I wouldn't call Dunkirk my favorite Nolan film, but I respect Dunkirk because it gives you multiple perspectives of this fundamental event that took place during World War II, right after Winston Churchill said, "We will fight them on the beaches." In fact, well, I bet someone out there is probably going to do a World War II themed marathon of all the war movies in the linear order of how events happened, and you would have to watch Darkest Hour with Gary Oldman as Winston Churchill, and then after that you can watch Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk to see like the significance of Winston Churchill's decision to fight on the beaches. So you get 3 perspectives in the Dunkirk film. You get the soldiers who are surrounded by the Germans trying to get home. You have the fighter pilot played by Ben. And then the most humbling perspective, just the average Joe sailors who use their everyday boats to bravely go out to Dunkirk and bring all the boys home so that they could have hope. that was quite I really like that movie. So now Nolan seems to be going into Oppenheimer, and the end game would be the film. Yes, and then Endgame is the one you finish off with. I love this guy's humor. So now it seems that Nolan has got his eyes on Oppenheimer, and it's interesting when films of historical capacity come along. They get people curious as to about the actual historical events, and these kind of depictions can help people remind them of their culture and how far they come and what they can learn from the past. Part of the propaganda of like the woke agenda is this whole notion of letting go of the past, let it go entirely. I mean, on the one hand, I can get the idea of trying to move on from the mistakes of the past, but there are so many good things to learn from the past too. And it's often said, if we do not learn from history, we're doomed to repeat it. And in this modern time, I think Oppenheimer is necessary to watch because Oppenheimer is essentially a story about the man who invented the atomic bomb. And this weapon probably at the time was necessary, I presume, for winning the war, as far as I'm aware. But at what cost? Basically, Oppenheimer basically was fiddling around with nuclear atomic energy, and at the time they thought if they did a test detonation, they thought they would destroy the world. Like, that's how big this bomb is. And now that this is what Oppenheimer gave to the world, it's made very clear in the advertising that Oppenheimer deeply regrets making the bomb. In fact, there's an actual video footage you can get of the man himself talking about his thoughts on him making the bomb. And I think Nolan is going to duplicate this recording in the film with Cillian Murphy playing the role of Oppenheimer. It's the speech that Oppenheimer gives, in which he basically so deeply regretted this. He so regretted making the atomic bomb that he literally quotes like a Hindu phrase. That's the one, Philip. Yep, I am become death. Yes. He literally repeats this. He speaks this Hindu phrase of I am become death, destroyer of worlds, just to emphasize how much he regrets making the atomic bomb. So yeah, let that sink in. And I was watching this a person who does analyses on YouTube by the name of Jonathan Pajot. He's someone who likes to analyze symbols. He was looking at Oppenheimer, and I remember him saying, commenting how people will often like to play God until it's too late. You basically took that Faustian bargain of trying to be your own God, and now, oh no, too late. This is the consequence of fiddling around with this kind of stuff. Did you hear the theory that the wizards in Lord of the Rings had descendants that became the wizards of the wizard? The descendants of those people discovered before they became Jedi. First time I've heard of it. There's a contradiction in that theory, I think, because Harry Potter is set in the 90s and Star Wars is set in a galaxy far, far away, a long time ago. Not to mention, the wizards in Lord of the Rings are not wizards in the way a lot of people think they are. The wizards in Lord of the Rings are actually angels in the context of the Middle-earth lore. That theory doesn't make a lot of sense, no. I mean, thanks for timeline checks out. Does it? I mean, I guess with like these fringe theories, it's the internet. People will come up with anything and everything because whoop whoop, they got whoopy imaginations. Let's use our imaginations well, like with what Christopher Nolan is doing with Oppenheimer, which I'm looking forward to seeing this Friday. Brian frying again. Good rhymes. Good rhymes. Not gonna lie, I just thought of it just now. Just thought of it. Just thought of what? The theory? Brian frying again. Maybe it's something I don't understand the context. What else is there to talk about? Let's see. I wanted to talk about Oppenheimer and how big this is going to be. I wanted to talk about Mission Impossible 7. I suppose another film I saw like a while back was Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. Michael Bay has had a really bad reputation with the sequels of the Transformers franchise. But years ago, I remember seeing Bumblebee, and it was a great film. I loved seeing Bumblebee. Brain, not Brian. Brain frying again. It's too much of Tenet. You go watch, I don't know, Winnie the Pooh or like Snoopy Dog instead. Something more simple. I've forgotten what I was talking about. What was I talking about? I've literally forgotten what I was talking about. You just gotta love this kind of life. Oh yeah, Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. That's what I was talking about. I saw Bumblebee, and it brought back the classic Transformers, and it actually brought a genuine good story. And it just goes to show, especially with some of the Spider-Man movies that have come out in more recent years, that not every big superhero robot from outer space kind of story needs to be about the end of the world. Sometimes it can be about a hero trying to get themselves accustomed to a new surrounding. Sometimes it could be about, can you do a bit of Elizabeth Swann? If you go back in the live stream, I suppose you could, but Elizabeth Swann. What's an Elizabeth Swann line? This is one line. You need to appeal to the code. Okay, there we go. I'm happy now. So I really enjoyed Bumblebee. That was a really great film. And as far as I'm aware, it's the best live-action Bumblebee movie. Live-action Transformers movie. Best live-action Bumblebee movie, too. Yeah. Rise of the Beasts. I wouldn't say it's the best film, but I think it's miles better than a lot of the Bay schlock we've been getting. It's got some like genuine virtues in there, about self-sacrifice, about related to humans, and the effects look kind of cool. And you can always count on Optimus Prime for an epic speech or two, with that kind of voice that he has. What else have I been seeing as of late? I already made an entire live stream about Across the Spider-Verse. I suppose I could take this time to mention a few things that I didn't mention during the live stream, because there's an Indian character in Across the Spider-Verse, and he reminds me of this Indian friend that I have. I just love the energy of this Indian character. I really liked when he was on screen, especially when he was ranting about chai. Having chai with my aunt, I love chai tea. Did you say chai tea? Chai means tea, bro. What, you just gonna order some coffee with some cream? I love that. What else have I not mentioned about Into the Spider-Verse? I actually really enjoyed Across the Spider-Verse. Yeah, I enjoyed the Across the Spider-Verse film. It's not as well structured as the last film, and there's going to be some plot elements that it's going to cause more questions than answers, but I guess a lot remains to be seen until the third part comes out. I think the first film had a better sense of structure, even though many, like my friend Brooks, would say it was too fast-paced. I do appreciate that they took time to develop their characters, but sometimes it can be a bit indulgent and repetitive at times, but not too much to distract from the overall story. Into the Spider-Verse is overrated. Ah! All right. So I think Pulp Fiction's overrated. Double A thinks Into the Spider-Verse is overrated. I think we're fair and square now. Oh yeah. Oh gosh. Oh my days. There's this meme that's going around in regards to Penny Parker, regarding Across the Spider-Verse. My friend Brooks also made a meme about it. It was basically in regards to this stark contrast of Penny Parker's upbeat, bubbly personality in Into the Spider-Verse compared to her presumably depressed state in Across the Spider-Verse. Like when we first saw her in Into the Spider-Verse, she was like, "Hi guys, konnichiwa," and very upbeat and bubbly with a very cute robot as a sidekick who was conscious. But then when she made her next appearance, like her robot kind of died, but her spider thing was still alive. And next time we saw her, she was in this full Neon Genesis Evangelion outfit, a suit rather. And Brooks has made this meme like weeb noob in the first film, and then in the next film, 5 years later, just utter like disillusionment, depression, and it's meant to be. I think even the comic book inspiration for that thing is it's meant to be an obvious nod to Neon Genesis Evangelion, which I've yet to fully see. But from what I know, it's a subversion of the anime big mecha genre, where instead of a big glorious like mecha things coming together to punch stuff, here you get this sort of Jungian tragedy about this effeminate young boy who's trying to appeal to his dad and to his lady friends, but is desperately failing, especially from this cataclysmic event called like the Third Impact. And it, knowing that context, and it's no wonder Penny looks so depressed. And me and my friend Brooks have been through a lot profound change in the past 5 years. So, in regards to being disillusioned from the culture, so yeah, me and Brooks can definitely relate to Penny Parker there. Not sure if this would interest you, but Japan has a new Godzilla flick coming out end of the year. It'll have a worldwide release. Teaser just dropped for it. You know what? Let's talk about Japanese films. Another filmmaker that I really admire is Hayao Miyazaki. He too has a film that's going to be coming out soon, and I think it's just been released in Japan. It's called How Do You Live, I think it's called. And this is a book that deeply inspired Miyazaki. Had a good stream, lad. Gotta go wash the you-know-what. Wash the dishes. Yeah, Double A is constantly washing the dishes. That's his thing. I mean, he's been able to wash dishes and watch the live stream before. Oh, wait. Unless Double A is gonna wash the dishes as he's watching the live stream. Yeah, he won't be able to type up. Okay, thank you, Double A. Thank you. Oh, right. Yes, I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'm looking forward to seeing that too, because Hayao Miyazaki is another one of my favorite filmmakers. Cheers, Double A. Hayao Miyazaki has made some of the most impactful films of Japan. Like, when you think of the big names of filmmaking, especially in Japan, you think Akira Kurosawa, who's also deeply inspired the video game Ghost of Tsushima. And then there's also like Hayao Miyazaki. Yeah, the live stream is good dishwashing simulation. Yeah, good to know. Keep going, mate. Wash the dishes. Wash the dishes. I'm a good one, Philip. Yeah, feel free to follow Philip Chandler on Instagram if you can. Double A is not very active on Instagram. Give him cookies. Give him bananas. Banana muffins. I don't know. Hayao Miyazaki is a really deeply influential filmmaker. He's had a profound impact on how I perceive filmmaking and how I perceive animation as an art form. like on this channel, I've made an entire series of video. Get him on the old cord. I'm trying to build my YouTube. Look, aren't we all, Philip? Aren't we all? We're just tagging along, saying hi to each other and stuff like that. Miyazaki is just one of those filmmakers. He's had a deep impact on Pixar, mainly because he was close friends with John Lasseter, who runs the Pixar company. As that means Discord. Yeah. Discord. All right. Get him on the old code. Oh, you managed to find Philip on Discord. Grounded graphics. Philip, Double A's graphic designer. Double A has been collaborating with me on making a new banner for my YouTube channel, and he's quite good on Photoshop. And I've been working on my illustration skills to help out Double A. So Philip Chandler, if you're willing to apply your illustration skills in collaboration with Double A, there's an opportunity. Anyway, what was it talking about? Miyazaki. He's made some of the biggest influential films ever, like Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke. Princess Mononoke is especially relevant for today. He's made other films like The Wind Rises. Yeah, I remember when the Oppenheimer trailer was being released. I'll keep in mind Double A. Yeah, when Oppenheimer trailer released, knowing the subtext of the film, I got these vibes similar to Hayao Miyazaki's film The Wind Rises. That was supposed to be Miyazaki's last film until he got out of retirement again to work on a movie like How Do You Live? Oh man, I mean, Miyazaki's such a funny guy at times. Like, sometimes he could be this perfectionist artist who just loves the craft, but at the same time, yes, Miyazaki should be mentioned in the same breath of the likes of Kurosawa. Fun fact, Miyazaki actually got the chance to meet Kurosawa in person. True story. You can type it up on YouTube. Miyazaki is this man who's he's a perfectionist animator, but he's this man who's also describes himself as a man of the 20th century who's stuck in the 21st century. So he wants to retire, but at the same time he wants to make art. But at the same time he wants to retire. But at the same time he wants to make art. Like, he can't make up his mind permanently. And like, he even made an entire documentary called Kingdom of Dreams and Madness, which I've analyzed on the channel before, way back when. It's a great documentary if you want to gain insight on the making of The Wind Rises, particularly, as well as the goings-on of Studio Ghibli. In the documentary, Miyazaki said it was meant to be his last film, but then he came out of retirement again. Like, come on, make up your mind. That's going to be me in 25 years. Oh man. So yeah, Miyazaki's got his funny quirks at times. You gotta love the man for it. Anyway, The Wind Rises. Whether you watch The Kingdom of Dreams and Madness or watch the film itself, it's very similar to Oppenheimer. When I saw the Oppenheimer trailer, I thought, gosh, this reminds me of, I'm getting these vibes of The Wind Rises, because Oppenheimer and The Wind Rises have a lot in common. They're both based on true stories set around the time of World War II. They're both about inventors who had good intentions, but they provided their respective factions these tools for destruction, which they deeply regretted making for one reason or the other. With The Wind Rises, it's more romanticized, but it nevertheless talks about this deep tragedy about the plane designer who essentially created the planes that attacked Pearl Harbor. According to The Wind Rises, the plane designer didn't want to make tools of destruction. He just wanted to make beautiful planes. He just wanted to make planes of beauty that could fly, like artworks that could fly, to aspiring to be like his Italian mentor or something like that. He just wanted to make good art, which in a way is kind of reflective of Miyazaki himself. he's so caught up with all this commercialized stress, but when he just wants to make art. That's a common theme throughout Miyazaki's movies. This critique of this consumerism culture, which unfortunately is still going to this day, and has become very much a problem for reasons I'll talk about later. But in The Wind Rises, he's trying to design these planes. Life happens to him, but he's dedicated. And in the end, there's this dreamlike imagery of his artworks being torn to shreds, and he just thinks to himself, like, was it really worth it to design these planes that cause destruction? And it's one of those films where it leaves you as an audience member to come up with the interpretation for yourself. That is severely lacking in modern Hollywood. Like, I think Japan is one of the few places that's more persistently consistent with its capacity to tell stories. There's even some stories I could probably point to the Logos when given the chance. I know, because I've actually looked into it and found out this sort of thing. There's all these great values that Japan can be endorsed, but modern Hollywood, not so much, with a few exceptions like Oppenheimer and Mission Impossible 7 and so on and so forth. So I get these familiar vibes with Oppenheimer and Wind Rises. Someone out there is probably going to make some kind of AMV kind of compilation with Oppenheimer and The Wind Rises put together. It's going to be a case of, it's these two people who aspired to make great inventions, but then their tools were used for destruction and they deeply regretted it. And leave it to Hayao Miyazaki and Christopher Nolan, two of my favorite filmmakers, to get the message out there. I guess with Nolan, it's more of a cautionary kind of tone, but with Miyazaki, it's more of a tragic kind of tone. What else is there to say about the? I guess this is a good segue to go into. Oh boy! Here we go! Oh, this is gonna be so stupid. I want to talk about Snow White because, oh my days, this is so stupid. Okay, so you've heard me talk about like how consumerism culture has been a major problem, and I'm glad I actually brought up Miyazaki because he was one of those filmmakers who genuinely criticizes the faultiness of the consumerism culture. You see this critique of consumerism culture in The Wind Rises with people insisting that these works of art that the plane designer is making be used as tools of war. And it's a tragedy because they were made for art, not for war. At least that was the intention. Although I've spoken to Malika once about this, and she told me something quite startling about like, how could that be a tragedy? Like, he was just doing what was necessary for his side, which was quite thought-provoking on my part. But that wasn't quite the full conversation, but that was just me recommending the movie to her because someone she knows like has been flying planes as well, so I thought I'd bring it up to her. People have often described Miyazaki as like the Disney of Japan, but Miyazaki doesn't like that phrase. Several years ago, I probably would have kind of understood why, but agreed with Miyazaki that he doesn't want to be associated with consumerist production. He wants to be associated with making art. But nowadays, with the path that Disney has spiraled themselves down to, yeah, Miyazaki is the opposite of Disney. See, I need to give a little history lesson just to give context to the just the utter depravity that the modern culture has found itself in. So basically, like, we all know about Disney. Like, you and I, everyone watching this, for one reason or another, loves the classic Disney. We've all seen like the classics, like, or some of them, you know. Or even if we haven't seen them, we've at least heard of them. Like, if you're living in like first world places and you hadn't heard of any sort of the Disney products, I can only assume you've been living under a rock, under a stone, as it were. Like, everybody knows about like Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, Lady and the Tramp, Lion King, Tangled, the Pixar movies, so on and so forth. I mean, Pixar certainly had some success. Disney certainly had their ups and downs, but for the most part, they've kept their family, their bold, proud claim of family entertainment for decades now, and they've been a part of people's childhoods for years. They started off like roundabout, like during the war times that these films I've been mentioning have been taking place, and even to the point where Disney was willing to like sell these Mickey Mouse gas masks for children at the time. There's like Disney's had a few hiccups every now and then, like the way they would have portrayed like Native Americans in Peter Pan, or their dark age of movies when Walt Disney himself died and they were kind of left wondering what to do, like a headless chicken. And they've had some lesser quality movies over the years. Like, people still critique films like Home on the Range and Chicken Little. But on the whole, Disney has maintained this the family virtues, but in recent years they've really spiraled into a dark age. But how could this be? So the history lesson continues. So roundabout in the 90s, like, Disney had been revolutionizing animation for years, and Disney has had a positive impact on pushing animation to its limits, about filmmaking, about storytelling, especially towards families. It's certainly had an impact on people like me and Philip and the way we design our characters and specific rules on how to tell stories, like making the eyes quite big and expressive, because eyes are the windows to the soul. And since it's okay to, visually draw, there's nothing sinful about certain visual styles, so you can use that to portray anything you want. I hate to do this. I hate to do this, D. Yeah. I hate to do the D. Yeah, the D. The D. I hate to do this, Colin, but I have to head out. All right. Thank you, Philip John. I thought for a moment Philip was talking about not liking drawing the D in Disney. For the longest time, that did not look like a D to me. It just looked like a musical note or something. I was enjoying listening to you, but I'm meeting someone for dinner tonight. All right. Mwah. Bellissimo, Philip. I'll need to join one of your live streams one time if I can. I'll say hi to you, Philip. So anyway, I'll keep giving the history lesson on Disney. So they kept pushing animation. There have been other people who've been pushing for animation. Disney's had an impact on the creator of Astro Boy, and in turn the entire manga anime industry. So people in Japan, you have Disney to thank for the anime manga industry for existing in the first place. And then Pixar came along with Steve Jobs and stuff like that, advocating for CGI animation. Now, computer stuff had been used for war tech in the past to help people out, as well as for making these in-thing models. I don't think there was anything morally wrong with making these digital models, so they decided to make animations out of it, and then they formed Pixar. I think, unless someone tells me otherwise, it doesn't really matter what kind of visual style you use, as long as you use that art to tell a good story, right? So with CGI, much like the drawings of the early days, they were just learning how it works. And I remember getting my hands on the DVDs of Pixar's early shorts. And if you go back far back as early as like some of their earliest CGI stuff, it's as basic as it gets. Like it's the kind of thing you'd probably see in some kind of CGI animation teaching class these days. In regards to how basic it is, like their first ever animated short was it's literally just this blue orb guy with a fez. He's sleeping in the forest for some reason, must have had some drunken night out or something. He wakes up, yawns, sees a bee, gets scared, runs away, gets stung by the bee, and then chucks his fez at a bee, laughs, and that was it. That was the film. There was also, cheers, mate. Yes, I'll have you in sometime. I hope so too. Bye, Philip. And then you would have like it would get more complex as it went along, but it would still remain quite basic. But then by the time they released Toy Story, man, that just revolutionized everything. And ever since then, there have been other films that have tried to duplicate the success of Toy Story. And Disney didn't really want to rival, so Disney managed to purchase the rights for Pixar. So Pixar became collaborative partners with Disney, so they could push for animation together. So Disney has been doing that for some time. They try to, like, they are a family entertainment, but they focus on business. However, throughout their history, especially recently, their insistence on making money more than quality entertainment has really backfired on has definitely backfired from time to time. Like back when Disney died after Sleeping Beauty, people were left with trying to do these shortcuts, such as getting rid of the whites in the mouse's eyes in The Rescuers, which animators like Don Bluth found very distracting. So he didn't like that. So he and a number of other animators left the Disney company, who were too reliant on shortcuts and stuff like that. And they went through their own little dark age at the time. And Don Bluth and his team managed to create quality animated films that would take years to make, but still it was worth the payoff because they created other classics that are not under the ownership of Disney to a great extent, but are still beloved family classics. A lot of people's favorite animated films, they say, is Don Bluth's magnum opus, The Secret of NIMH. I remember watching, I was introduced to this film by the nostalgia critic, aka Doug Walker, who's described The Secret of NIMH as one of his top favorite movies of all time. Like, he had only a few, Doug Walker only had a few animated films up on his top favorite lists. Like, among them was Hayao Miyazaki's Spirited Away, speaking of Miyazaki. He also had Fantasia, an amazing artistic piece from Disney, and Secret of NIMH. Those three animated films made it to Doug Walker's top favorite films list. I mean, it might have changed over the years, but that was the official one that he did. And yeah, I remember watching that. It was quite a fascinating film. I really like animated films that delve into mature topic matters. Like, I don't think Secret of NIMH was too great for me. I mean, I think there's a few flaws in the Secret of NIMH film. Like, firstly, I wish it was longer, and secondly, I wish Jenner the Crow had more of a prominent role in the story, other than looking after the children. But I mean, that's an important role to have. I mean, but I wish there was more. Like, it's one of those stories where it's one of those films where I liked what I got, but I wish there was just a little bit more, just something like that. But still, there was some fascinating questions about society, about how we ought to move forward, about where we ought to take science, and so on and so forth. So Don Bluth made other films like The Land Before Time, which really struck a chord with film, akin to how Bambi lost his mom, except it was way more depressing. There was An American Tail, also more depressing, but Don Bluth had this rule of thumb when it came to the way he told his stories. Whilst his animated films were certainly more depressing than the Disney films, it made the happy endings that much more happy because there was a genuine conflict to work around through and genuine growth for the character to go through. Just stuff like that just goes to show that not all pain is evil. I'm into that. I can agree to that statement. I've been suffering a lot this past year, but thanks to some good friends, I've been able to keep myself together, and I can honestly say I'm recovering and I'm making steps forward. And I'm so glad that all of you people are here, and for reasons I'll explain later, I'm so glad that more and more people are being disillusioned from consumerist Hollywood. But anyway, on with the history lesson. Don Bluth Don Bluth also went through his own dark age when he relied a bit too much on consumerist ideas, appealing to like the studios and stuff like that. However, there was one exception, and that was Anastasia and arguably Titan AE. I've yet to see that film. Don Bluth also made Dragon's Lair and Space Ace. Dragon's Lair is quite a fun game. And I've heard he's been trying to make a movie for some time, but all word on him getting that movie out has gone cold. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. The dishes are done. Hey! All right, so back to the history lesson. So after Titan AE, Don Bluth stopped making his movies, but during that time, Don Bluth was able to deliver the kinds of movies that Disney were never able to produce at that time, at least not to the quality that Don Bluth was making, at least during the 80s. And I've noticed, looking back now, this pattern seems to keep repeating again and again. This pattern of the dark age of Disney has repeated again this modern time for reasons I'll get to later. So at Disney at the time thought, man, our own ex-employees are doing exceedingly better than us. We really got to step up our game. So what did they do? Disney went back to the basics, back to the princess fairy tale. So they decided to make The Little Mermaid, and they decided to get some genuine creative talent to really revolutionize animation again. They stuck to their strengths: musicals, the romantic fantasy, and other things like that. They stuck back to like the motion, the rotoscoping, and they got experimental with their animation. They really revolutionized things. And then The Little Mermaid was released, and it was a big phenomenon for Disney. It was like a big hit. And this led to what we now call the Disney Renaissance during the 90s. So next they would make Aladdin. They got the same musical talent from last time, and it was a big success. They made Beauty and the Beast. This film was considered such a masterpiece that it was literally nominated by the Academy Awards for Best Picture. Like, that's unheard of for a lot of animation. So, it kind of saddens me that there's this stigma that people say, "Oh, animation is genre." No, animation is not a genre; it's a medium. It's a tapestry to create anything you want to create. Animation, basically, I do not think animation is immoral. It is not evil. It has the capacity to combine visual arts and fictional storytelling to create anything you want. You could create stories not only for families, but for older people. You could create so much potential like that, things that are thought-provoking and things like that. And you could use visual storytelling to the max. Like Violet Evergarden is a great masterpiece, but that's a different topic. The Lion King was a humongous phenomenon. And a funny story about that is that Disney was trying to push for their limits of what they could do for animation. And something rather ironic is that at the same time, their A project, as it were, was Pocahontas. And then their B project was The Lion King. They were expecting Pocahontas to be their magnum opus and The Lion King to be this, this is thing that we're doing just to make up for time at the side. Yeah, let them do their thing. How ironic that Pocahontas ended up being the lesser successful one compared to The Lion King. Like, how ironic is that? So anyway, The Lion King was a tremendous success. And then you had other classics. The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Oh, that's got to be one of my top favorite Disney movies ever. Like, some of the musical numbers, they're some of Disney at their best. At their best, at their best. The last film, they also had Hercules. And I guess this is another way of promoting Malika's channel. Malika Ganges talked about the masculine journey in regards to Hercules. So you can check out her video on that. And then the last film that came out during the Renaissance period was Tarzan. Oh, yeah. And Mulan came out during this time period too. And that was in the year when I was born. So then the 2000s came, and Disney would make some movies that were kind of hit or miss compared to the Renaissance period. This would lead to the period where a lot of people would say, oh, these were the underrated film period. Like, people still love talking about Lilo and Stitch, Atlantis the Lost Empire, Treasure Planet, Meet the Robinsons, mainly those four. Maybe there's a few others, but they'll come back to me. Some other films at that time period, like particularly the ones where oh yeah, The Emperor's New Groove. Oh man, The Emperor's New Groove is such a funny film. That's one of the funniest films ever. Yeah, Emperor's New Groove also. That was a great film as well. Some of the other films during that time period, like Chicken Little and Home on the Range, didn't receive as warm a reception, but they were still making some okay stuff. But this was the time period when DreamWorks and Pixar were really upping their game. Although, in my opinion, DreamWorks already reached their peak with Prince of Egypt. Yeah, that's another part of Disney's history. The fact that Michael Eisner what was his name? Mark Zuckerberg? No, what's the name of the guy who runs DreamWorks? Hold on a minute. Sorry, I'll be right down. If you know the name of the founder of DreamWorks, feel free to type it in before I manage to look it up. Okay, hold on a second. DreamWorks animation founder. Who was it? Jeffrey Katzenberg. That's his name, right? He, alongside Steven Spielberg, the man himself, and David Geffen, they founded DreamWorks SKG. Basically, Katzenberg, like Don Bluth before him, was getting fed up with the way that Disney was too reliant on their on taking shortcuts. I think there's this well-known story that Katzenberg was involved in the making of one of Disney's biggest flops, The Black Cauldron. And Katzenberg made this comment as he was working on the film with them. Okay, can we edit this film? And the people looked at him like editing an animated film is just completely unheard of, because the way the animation process works is that once you set it in stone, it's there. Editing at that time wouldn't have been as easy. Because there's this elaborate process of creating every single frame from scratch by your own hand, not just simply recording it, but literally having to create it and then take individual photos of it. I just think of the... Oh, I'll get to that. Thanks for bringing it up, Double A. I will bring that up. So, in regards to, so Katzenberg wasn't really satisfied with Disney at the time, so he left and he formed DreamWorks, who were also pushing for animations at the time, CGI and traditional animation. They made 4 traditional 2D animated films with a bit of CGI blended in there. Pardon me. Basically, Katzenberg's aim was to make the kind of dreams that Disney wouldn't dare to make, because as brilliant as Disney were, sometimes they were a bit too reliant on trying to appease to as many people, as many families as possible. Like, that's the big flaw with Disney that I'll get to later, especially because I think this weakness of Disney has really exposed itself in recent years. So Disney has this tendency to appeal to business. So as much as they want to make films of, as much as they would have wanted to make films for the family, they would have very strict regulations in regards to them trying to appeal to as many people as possible, and over time try to gain as much money as possible. So their aim is to try to appeal to as broad a demographic as possible. So when Katzenberg came in, seeing the beautiful potential for animation, and said, "Hey, I want to make an animated adaptation of Exodus Scriptures," Disney was like, "Ooh, no, this is a bit too risky for us." But so Katzenberg left, made his own company, and well, actually, it wasn't Katzenberg's idea to do the Exodus Scriptures. It was actually Spielberg's idea, because Spielberg is Jewish. Katzenberg wanted to do some kind of Holy Scripture adaptation, but Disney was unwilling. So Katzenberg made his own company, and they were in the pitch meeting room, and they thought, "What are we going to do?" And then Spielberg, the creative genius that he is, leans forward and says, "Why not do the 10 Commandments?" On a side note, I've been learning lately that all bodies are temples. And temples were allowed to be visually created. So it's permissible to artistically portray bodies. They're meant to be portrayed. Anyway, so with the Prince of Egypt, they took years to get some of the finest artists from around the globe and multiple directors. One of whom was a female director, gratefully enough, who would later on create Brave, make of that as you will. They would create the magnum opus that is the Prince of Egypt. And it was quite the success back at the time. For some reason, a lot of people didn't talk about it after its initial success, but it still had a profound impact. And The Prince of Egypt is still one of my personal favorite movies ever made. The animation is just gorgeous, and it really delved into like mature subject matter, like not just with scripture, but also with a few creative inputs that I don't think violates the scriptures too much, with like how Moses is in conflict with his former family, and how he's bound for his responsibility and his calling. Like, animation has the potential for that kind of subject matter, but Disney wants to play it safe. Keep that in mind. Years have passed by, and when Disney was going through their hit and miss phase in the 2000s, that's when DreamWorks came out with their smash hit, or smash mouth hit, of Somebody Once Told Me, just had to do the meme, of Shrek. Shrek was basically Katzenberg's revenge against Disney. Lord Farquaad was basically a direct mockery of the CEO of Disney at that time, I think, or something like that. And Shrek is basically this satire of fairy tales. Like, it may not have been too successful in that regards when you think about it logically, but a lot of people liked it at the time, and ever since then, DreamWorks seems to be doing really well when it comes to sequel making, honestly. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, this was the time period when Disney was trying to appeal to their nostalgia by their direct-to-video sequels. Well, you know what? To be fair, I would rather watch some of the worst direct-to-video sequels compared to modern Hollywood schlock today. But not all the direct-to-video sequels have been that bad. I really enjoyed some of them. Some of them have been quite entertaining. I must admit. So they've been experimenting around for a bit. More animation companies would come along, like Illumination, and then it was during like the 2010s that Disney would, after making Princess and the Frog, Disney would reach new heights when they finally got CGI right. Like during the 2000s, Disney was just trying to get to grasps with how CGI works with Dinosaur and other things like that. And it wasn't that successful. Although I did like Bolt actually. Yeah. But eventually they had lots of money invested into their adaptation of Rapunzel, and it worked. It really worked out for them. Tangled was a hit, and it led to another phase of Disney, like this sort of modern era kind of phase. This is where we would see other CGI hits like Frozen, Big Hero 6, Moana, Raya and the Last Dragon, Wreck-It Ralph. Really like Wreck-It Ralph. Like a lot of people would say Frozen was overrated. That I can agree a lot in regards to Frozen being overrated, especially the sequel. But there's definitely a charm to what they were doing. They were still making quality family entertainment. So with Disney being such a household entertainment for up to a century now, how could they possibly fail? So this is where the history lesson culminates. So remember what I said about how Disney has this way of playing it safe and trying to appeal to as broad an audience as possible? Well, I believe this is what led to their downfall. For you see, Disney tried to get more and more money. So later on down the line, they were able to gain the rights to various other properties of entertainment. I think it started off with like a theme park, so like Lucasfilm properties like Star Wars and Indiana Jones and other things like that. And then with George Lucas, he signed off his rights to Star Wars to Disney in hopes that they would carry on his legacy. And with Paramount's success with some of the Marvel films, Disney bought the rights to Marvel Entertainment in hopes to presumably add extra funds to the filmmaking process. I remember thinking it's a bit odd, but still intriguing at the time when the first Avengers film came out. That Disney's bought the rights to the Avengers films. Well, they must be adding in extra funds. We'll see how it works out. So over time, the Marvel Cinematic Universe exceeded to tremendous new heights. The Star Wars has been a bit wavy. Especially during 2017 with the very divisive Last Jedi film. I actually liked it at the time, and but then people started saying, we hate The Last Jedi. It's so stupid. They ruined the characters, and I couldn't really understand. I could understand why people didn't like it, but the way people were talking about it didn't really persuade me that much. I just thought, guys, calm down. It's not that bad. It wasn't until I found people like Critical Drinker and even my friend Brooks who didn't rant like passionate, angry people. The Critical Drinker and Brooks were able to describe what was wrong with the film bit by bit, especially in relation to the lore. And then that made me think, oh, right. That's why you don't like The Last Jedi. Right. I mean, I still think The Last Jedi got some things right. I mean, it definitely had a promising premise of this idea that Rey didn't actually have some kind of a special upbringing. And given the common theme throughout Star Wars about these heroes from a special lineage rising up, to take on evil. I thought it was kind of an inspiring message at the time that you don't have to be this special category of person to try to make a difference. You can make the initiative to try to do that. I thought that was quite inspiring at the time, but then they ruined that message in the next movie of the trilogy. Like, by the way, you're related to this person. Like, pick a message and go with it. Like, I mean, the sequel trilogy does have some good ideas, but my days, the sequel trilogy was just so poorly planned. And when Captain Marvel came out, I did not see the feminist agenda at the time, but over time, especially with the disillusionment I went through, the pieces started going together, and I thought, oh, right. Okay, so remember what I said about Disney trying to appeal to as broad a demographic as possible. Basically, trying to appeal to as broad a demographic as possible eventually branched out to the whiny morons of Twitter. And then everything started going wrong from there. Because as I've seen from a recent Critical Drinker video, the thing about trying to appeal to the morons of Twitter, it's never going to be enough. They're always going to demand more representation, more this, more that. No, you need to represent me, this dark-skinned guy who's disabled and identifies as this. No, you need to appeal to me, this Asian woman in her 30s who's single, alone, and stuff like that. No, you need to represent me. No, me. No, me. No, me. No, you have to represent me. It's all about me. Me. So basically, in this current generation where the people are increasingly appealing to me, like all about me, it's not about anyone else, just me, like endorsing selfishness. Like Disney trying not to offend anybody has increasingly basically sold their soul and their creative integrity all in the name of trying not to offend people. And this tactic has increased and increased over time. And with the increase in greed they got from getting all these different brands under their name, they started to come up with these dirty tactics. Like, for example, the way they portray, like, it's not just Disney, but it's a few other films as well, but the way that modern Hollywood, including Disney, portrays their most of their female protagonists these days. You see, I should lay down some common ground. I can understand that white men have been very problematic in the past. White men have been doing some bad things, but what these woke people won't tell you in the name of their agenda is that women and other people of other colors of skin can also have the potential to do bad things. That's the kind of message that you would see in like classic books like Crime and Punishment and Heart of Darkness. But because people are so uneducated and have been so indoctrinated by this me-centered agenda that's been occurring in recent years, like it's just the way they're approaching their virtues has reached the point of virtue signaling where it's just so extreme that it's just completely implausible. Like, for example, they'll say, empower women. That statement by itself, that statement by itself is not necessarily a bad thing. The problem is taking it to an extreme. You see, people will say, women can do everything men can do, but so much better. They can read better than men. They can write better than men. They can drive. They can kick butts. They can do jokes, they can do quirky stuff, they can fight, they are so much tougher than all the men, and they're trying to make like women into like the men roles. They basically hate men. I'm like, look, I get it. Men have done bad things, but like, come on, give us a break here. I mean, women are capable of doing bad things too. You know, women can lie to men for the sake of convenience, you know? Women can be abusive to their children. That's a thing. Huh? They're also doing this thing where they say, we must represent diversity. Again, if you would listen to that at face value, that doesn't sound like a bad thing. But the problem is, again, the woke take it to an unrealistic extreme. They, instead of seeing everyone as potential equals, they see other people of other skin colors, especially African Americans, as being so morally superior that they are incapable of racism. And then you get stuff like the Lord of the Rings, like Magic the Gathering stuff, where they replace Aragorn as a black man, even though Aragorn is clearly described as a pale guy with long, greasy black hair by Tolkien himself. And then they describe like white men as like these pawns that are brutally killed. Or in most films, they'll make men, even men who should have some kind of authority of some kind, and make them suck compared to women. Like, I mean, there's women who can have genuine strengths with teaching and genuine skills that they can do, but they've exaggerated these virtues to such an extent that they don't allow the woman to have proper character arcs. Thus, these women are not relatable because they're not real. They're fake. They're just fake power fantasies, and they're the kind of power fantasies that inspire narcissism because it's all about me, 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 me. And these people just need a history lesson or two from people like Thomas Sowell, who will pronounce facts like Africans had been trading with other Africans long before the transatlantic slave trade. Like, the woke mainstream media won't tell you this because that goes against the agenda. That goes against their message. They don't want that kind of messaging because it spells out, hey, people of other skin colors and women are just as accountable for their actions as the very white men they claim to be superior to. So I've noticed even people of other skin colors and even women and even people who would used to have been affiliated with them are continuing to leave this dangerous form of narcissism from Hollywood. My friend Malika Gandhi spoken out against the woke culture. Like a few other people have spoken out against the woke culture. Recently, Emily Blunt, Chris Pratt, Brian Cox, Sylvester Stallone, Tom Holland with what he was confessing about some drinking problem with his friends, Mark Wahlberg, Jim Caviezel, Mel Gibson, and a few other celebrities that are well known are beginning to think, hang on, something's going on here and we don't like it. And yes, as Double A has hinted, this sort of woke pandering has led to Indian Velma. So a common trend in the woke culture is to rewrite history and to basically self-insert themselves into these characters. What could be a good example other than Velma? Maybe the new Superman show, or I guess the Superman show, for example. I guess basically there's this ginger-haired character who's been replaced with a African-American guy, and stuff like that, as well as other things, are part of this message of,
You cannot relate to certain characters unless they look exactly like you.
Like, they're trying to appeal people to different skin colors, but this kind of attempt to engage with people, it doesn't work, because there are many people, including people of different colored skins, who say, we don't care what the character looks like. We relate to them because of the qualities they portray and the virtues they're representing. Like, I don't have to be a woman to relate to the struggles of Ellen Ripley from Alien. I don't have to be a fish to relate to Marlin trying to look for Nemo. Do you see the problem? This kind of problem, it gives this cognitive dissonance to engagement, saying you can't relate until they look exactly like you. So, hold on a second. I'm just gonna say very soon. I'll need to wrap this up soon. I'll finish this history lesson. Gosh, this went longer than expected. So in regards to Indian Velma, the creator of the Velma show was essentially this Indian person. She self-inserted herself, and people have been scolding the show. Now, people will claim, you don't like this show with this specific color skin character as the lead role. That must mean you're some kind of racist. You must be some kind of sexist too. But in reality, it's just an excuse to compensate for their poor writing. Like, you watch other shows of a similar caliber, like Arcane or Edge of Tomorrow, or like the Ridley Scott and James Cameron Alien films, or even like Avatar: The Way of Water, and or even with like Mission Impossible 7 and Top Gun Maverick. You see good portrayals of female characters who can fight alongside men, not superior to men, fighting alongside men. Listen to what I'm saying. I am not saying that men are inferior or superior to women. I am not saying that women are inferior or superior to men. I am saying men and women can be in harmony. And modern Hollywood just doesn't get it. They don't understand the concept of men and women being in harmony. Like, they've gone from one extreme to the other, and they just don't understand this harmony that men and women can be in. So you have Indian Velma, and she's saying, "Oh, the men suck. We women are awesome. Look, Fred, we're making jokes about how small his penis is, and he's such a simp. He's such a this and that. And oh, look, here's a joke of humiliating Fred to look like Adolf Hitler, the worst possible human being alive. Oh, we're making another joke about how small his penis is because we want to effeminize real men." And that's another trait they do. They try to accuse like genuine masculinity as being toxic masculinity. Like, I get it. Men have been toxic people in the past, but guess what also exists? Toxic femininity. Boom. So this kind of pandering has led to a lot of people scolding the Indian Velma show. Another example I could think of, there was He-Man and the Masters of the Universe Revelation. That had Teela, one of the most insufferable protagonists I've ever had to watch. Basically, she's the kind of person who just blames everyone and everything around her, and the events are just are handed to her on a silver plate. And she's never challenged on her beliefs. She never really grows as a character. And that's the kind of female character people really don't like. It's why people really haven't warmed up to the 13th Doctor or She-Hulk or Captain Marvel or some other characters like that. They haven't warmed up because these writers have failed to establish why we ought to care for these characters. Like, yeah, your characters are strong and independent, but are they likable? Is there Are they going to be good people to get along with? Are they going to learn something? No. Oh, they're boasting about how excellent they are and more telling rather than showing at times and never being challenged on the stuff. Isn't this rather narcissistic? Why can't both men and women go through like similar trials together? Like, whatever happened to that? So yeah, Disney's embraced this sort of thing as of late. Oh yeah, which leads me to what I wanted to talk about to finish off this video. And it's so ridiculous. Like, Disney has reached a point in being so timid of not trying to offend anyone. Like, it's gotten absolutely ridiculous. Like, recently they've been running out of ideas on what to make a live action remake of next to try to make as much money as possible. And they're trying to make a live action remake of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Oh, excuse me. Like Ebony Brown and the seven magical people. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. If Peter Dinklage had just kept his mouth shut, none of this would have happened in the first place. Like, if someone like calls me like a retard or something, I'm not gonna take offense to that. I've been called worse. I mean, they're just names. Like, what are they gonna do to me? They don't judge who I am. I'm judged by my actions, you know? That's something a lot of people misunderstand. Like, the woke crowd, they claim to be anti-racists, but they're advocating for segregation. Like, they're completely disobeying what Martin Luther King Jr. said about being judged not by the color of their skin, but by the quality of their character. Why is it that the woke crowd is insistent on being judged by the color of your skin and not the quality of your character? And it's just reached a peak. It's so ridiculous. So this recent Snow White adaptation features Rachel Evney. I don't know her surname, but basically this actress of Colombian descent playing Snow White. And there's a very clear problem. I'll get to you soon. There's a very clear problem. Like, the original source material of Snow White describes Snow White herself as having skin as white as snow. That's for an hour. I'm almost done here. Anyway, so Snow White is called Snow White because in the source material, she is described as having skin as white as snow. Now, if Disney is so insistent on diverse representation, like, why couldn't Disney just hire other ethnicities that have white skin? Like, Disney, you do realize that Caucasian people are not the only kinds of people to have white skin. What about Japanese people? What about Russian people? Huh? The more that I think about it, the more the concept of a Japanese Snow White sounds awesome. Heck, why not hire an actual German actress as Snow White? How's that for representation? You want to represent actual cultures? You want to represent, you know, the world that you're trying to depict? You know, you don't want to be restricted to just like, you know, the cultural West. You want to branch out? You know, you could do Germany, you could do Russia, you could do Japanese. If you get a German actress, you're actually staying true to the source material. If you do Russia or Japanese, you could have diversity, as well as staying true to the source material. You could have your cake and eat it too. But no, we've got to appeal to as broad a demographic as possible and not offend anybody, even if it means directly contradicting the source material you're trying to work with, as well as trying to carry on the legacy of Walt Disney with the first ever film he ever made. Wouldn't it be respectful to your own freaking founder to stay somewhat true to the source material? From what I've heard, this Snow White movie is just, it's so drastically different from the source material. It's laughable. It's laughable at how stupid it is. Like, due to Peter Dinklage's rant, like, people are timid of depicting live action dwarves because they don't want to offend people who are suffering from dwarfism. Okay, several things on this. Critical Drinker said, firstly, there's a difference between the fantasy dwarves and people who struggle with dwarfism, right? Secondly, like, you could hire people of any height. I've seen adaptations of Snow White, like Snow White and the Huntsman, where they have actors who are not really short people, but they make the filmmaking to make it look as if these characters were quite short. They use techniques such as putting some actors on this walkboard and other people lower down. Or even in Lord of the Rings, you have this 6 feet or so tall person, John Rhys Davies, playing Gimli. Yeah, a really tall guy was playing Gimli, and they managed to successfully make the film as if he was quite small. In fact, Peter Jackson was revolutionary at the time for his making this sort of Catholic fantasy world where there was really short people and there was really tall people, and he was really clever playing around with perspective practically in order to get this effect that people could be small. So, like, you can have dwarves. Like, I could be a dwarf, If you could have John Rhys Davies, a 6 foot tall guy, as a dwarf, you could do that for me. I'm 6'5". You can make me a dwarf. How? Filmmaking. It's possible. Like, but Disney is just so sheepish. They're so afraid of offending people. Like, they've reverted to 7 magical people, and they have these just regular people in like really cheap looking fantasy clothing, and it's just so ridiculous. At this point, it's hard to get angry at them because it's just too ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's what's more, Gal Gadot, who's said to play the Wicked Witch Queen, she looks more like Snow White than the person they're casting as Snow White. Oh my days. It's just so ridiculous. And Disney is losing so much money. And you just think, Disney, you're digging your own grave further and further. At this point, you're practically suffocating yourself with dirt. Like, what? I thought you cared about making money. This... I see. Woo-hoo! Oh man! Woo-hoo! Oh man! Oh man! I've got no words. Although, what I will say, it's a very you-centered generation. People don't really care about selflessness these days. They're only in it for themselves. This is why a lot of films suffer. It's because they're too fixated on trying to appeal to themselves, when really they ought to be making stories about improvement, not indulgence. We need to make movies that endorse self-improvement, not self-indulgence. With improvement, you can embrace virtues that are timeless, like responsibility, good overcoming evil, and redemption, as well as overcoming like your inner demons. But in this generation, no. They want to endorse the opposite. They want to endorse themselves. Thus, they don't really care about others. They just care about themselves. So, thank you all for joining this live stream. I'm so glad that other people are becoming more aware of the damage being done to Hollywood. Like, it's no wonder. I guess I was mentioning Mission Impossible 7 being relevant because there's all this controversial news. Yeah, I should probably end it now. Controversial news about AI replacing actors. There's no wonder there's so many people on strike in Hollywood. So I guess I'll end it here. Thank you all so much for watching. And I will see you all in another stream, hopefully. Scott Stinker signing out.